All right. Non-spoilers for Alex Garland's Civil War, written and directed by him, Alex Garland.
Alex Garland. Yes, very good. Hey, Holden, oh no, America, it's in a civil war again.
Oh no.
Back at
the
it.
second
Oops,
one. Yeah.
I did it again.
Round 2. Civil War 2.
Abraham Lincoln's back. He's a zombie. No,
Yeah.
I wish. That's what this movie was missing. Zombie Abraham Lincoln, zombie Jefferson Davis, just
Absolutely.
doing a little good old arm wrestle. No, let me just start off. The marketing for this movie is horrible. The marketing for this movie did not represent what this movie was at all. In my opinion,
I guess aside from like the main trailer that's released, I guess I haven't seen too much. So
it's just like that is not what this movie is at all. Like the picture, even like the poster of like people like sitting with their snipers and the torch of the Statue of Liberty. If you're expecting this,
which
big
by the way, dumb image. Why would you be up there?
To snipe people,
I guess
it's a vantage point. Use your brain.
From Ellis Island.
That's the wrong island.
Oh, is it?
Nimrod. Ellis Island's a different island.
The Liberty Island.
I think it's Liberty Island.
I don't know.
Liberty City. Nico. A little GTA 4 reference for you. Yeah, there you go. Let's see, Holden. Look, America's at war again. War has been going on for a while at the beginning of this movie.
Unclear.
This movie is not about like the politics of it at all. There is no like, oh, the right side is correct or the left side is correct. It's mainly just that dystopian future group of people need to get from point A to point B, and let's explore human nature. It's The Last of Us, and I really liked it because of it.
Oh, see, I was gonna say I did not really like this movie. So this is a civil war of sorts. No, so I didn't hate this movie or anything. I just think it's like very mid, I'd say.
Wow. I disagree.
There's certain things I do appreciate about it, but there's also a lot that I just think is like uninteresting and done much better in other movies.
In The Last of Us,
yeah, well,
you could say it.
Yeah, and part of it. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I guess where should we start with this?
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, that's where I was gonna say. Like the mark, it's just people going from point A to point B, and it's a very until the third act, which is where I think it kind of falls apart a little bit, especially the ending. It's very small in scope, and it doesn't dive into the politics, which I think is for the film's benefit. Is that it does not portray who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. It is simply these reporters, essentially, like without really spoiling anything. The plot synopsis is this group of photojournalists / reporters just want to get to Washington, D.C. from New York City. They kind of have to go this weird route just because of the nature of the war and what highways and roads are available. And they need to beat these rebel forces from getting to the White House and taking the president because they want to interview the president somehow before he gets captured, inevitably, from what it seems like Nick Offerman, which if you're expecting a lot of them, very limited role.
Very, very limited.
And so it's just like these little vignettes from point A to point B.
Yeah, Garland previously did 28 Days Later, which Last of Us takes some from, and this likewise takes some from. So
I would need to rewatch that, but I like this more than 28 Days Later.
I probably like 28 Days Later more. Neither of us are like as hot on that movie as a lot of people are. But for me, I'm not on the complete opposite opinion on the fact that this movie doesn't have the politics in it, but I do think this movie is like aggressively has nothing to say. I think it's like almost just and you know, we talked about Godzilla X Kong, right? Which is a movie we both enjoyed and is absolutely a movie with nothing to say, which is fine for that.
So
movie.
I have convinced you that it's a good movie.
No,
yes, I did.
I enjoy that movie, and I said that at the time.
I wouldn't check out our Godzilla versus Kong review where I convinced Holden it's a good movie.
But anyway, so in like that case, I don't mind it for that. But this movie is it's a movie that is, I think, inherently with this setting, like regardless of if the marketing didn't play into it as much, I think having a modern or near future civil war in America, especially considering like our current political unrest and whatnot, there's a lot implied there. There's a lot of things that could be said there. And I don't necessarily think Alex Garland needs to take a side or whatever, or agree with my own personal politics or anything, but like it. He could do a little dabbling of criticizing one side, then criticizing the other side, or, throwing in little tidbits here and there of stuff.
I don't think so at all. I think that would just date the movie. And I just think I don't think that, that I feel like that's even worse. It's like, see, both sides are to blame and everything. Like, it's just like, look, this would be terrible. It's just the message is just anti-war, and it's more just exploring like photojournalism and all that. And I'm almost like, but how does he like footage? It's like, is this movie supposed to glorify photojournalists? Because if it's supposed to, it's doing a bad job at that. Because I'm like, these people are just, why would anybody in their right mind do this? And like, are they actually doing a service for anyone?
See, okay,
or are they just getting in the way?
See, when I moved past the fact that it wasn't going to talk about like real world implications or anything, I'm like, okay, so then you look at the photojournalism angle, which is obviously like a big focus of it, and I still just don't think he says anything interesting about photojournalists. It's just like, oh, they're just like in the line of fire. They're kind of sensationalist, kind of not. But it's, I don't know. To me, I was like, it came so close to say like doing something regarding like the ethics of being an unbiased photojournalist and like them being around all this devastation and not actually helping out or anything. But it doesn't really do anything with that to me. It just was, I don't know. It very toothless in that regard, I would say.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't need movies to be super deep. And that's why I'm like, I feel weird, like criticizing this, because I love plenty of movies that aren't that way. But it's like between like this and Men, I just feel like both are movies where like Alex Garland.
Men is clearly saying something, and it's the most over the top.
Yeah. I just feel like
stupid, blatant message.
Yeah. And I feel like he either overcorrected here, or he just, Alex Garland in his current state doesn't really know how to weave these messages in any like, I don't know, meaningful way.
I don't necessarily. I don't think movies are supposed to tell you what to think. In fact, I don't like movies that tell you what to think. You have to be really subtle about it. I'm more interested, and I don't even think Civil War is necessarily this, but like movies that raise questions and be like, well, I'm not going to tell you which way is like right or wrong, but here's like a raised question for us to consider.
Yeah, I guess I should clarify.
And I feel like it does do that with photojournalism. It's like it halfway glorifies them, but it's halfway like, notice how they're always just in the way and a nuisance to the people around them, and they have to be like just accommodated. And is this venture even worthwhile? I think it poses questions there. Like, is this actually important, especially in this context? Yeah,
granted, I don't know how, war photojournalism actually is or anything, but I also to me, it felt very, their implementation and like being in the middle of everything felt very unrealistic to me. And the fact that like everyone is just like okay with them being there.
So that's what I thought. I was like, why would anybody care about any of these people? This context?
Well, especially like without spoiling anything, at the end of the movie, it's like they're alongside these soldiers and everything, and the soldiers are like guiding them through this place and everything. And I'm like, I feel like the soldiers probably have more important things to do than helping out these photojournalists that are just getting in the way of everything. And I think like that sense of, at least
it's almost like if there was a photojournalist with SEAL Team 6 going after bin Laden. It's like we're not going to bring you in our special ops mission.
Yeah.
And to get you like, oh, you want to ask a question of bin Laden before we shoot him in the head? Like,
And I felt like just a lot of those unrealistic moments really took away from anything he was potentially saying regarding photojournalists. Cause I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. And I should clarify, I was going to mention earlier, I don't necessarily want this movie to like tell me what to think or anything, but I just, I feel like the movie just doesn't even necessarily say much in any regard or like even imply anything, I guess.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. First off, the movie I think is supposed to be pro photojournalist because Alex Garland, I'm sure that's where he stands. But I'm sure he's like,
probably.
I could see why, like, raise these things so it's a little bit more seemingly less subjective. However, I think the point of this movie is just simply like traumatize the audience.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like, I want to make this situation feel real and these consequences feel real to you and just not so like, I'm not going to make it like a blockbuster. And I think that's why the trailer and the poster for this movie are just don't represent the movie at all. Because this is like almost like an anti-blockbuster movie until the very end, which I'm like, this is, and it loses some of the impact for me. But it's like, I think you're supposed to be like, this should not, especially from an American perspective like us, like this is not what's supposed to happen. This is not supposed to happen here. This is not what this is supposed to be like. This is not how people are supposed to act. And I think he did it in a way outside of what you're talking about, of like these very special missions, which again, it seems like kind of falls apart. Some of these littler things, like, okay, makes a little bit more sense. The stuff at the very end, I'm like, we were stretching here. But it feels very realistic. I think it feels, and especially taking the political stuff out of it, it just feels like, okay, here we are in a small town that it's pretending like the war is not happening at all. Like that is certainly a very American thing to do. It's just to create a little bubble, secure the bubble, and pretend it's not even happening.
I think I love that scene. I think that I agree with you that is a very American thing that I think was portrayed pretty well. I do think though, for me personally, there are some aspects of the setting that are just like, they don't seem realistic to me. Like the whole fact that this is, I mean, the world looks like The Last of Us, basically. There's just like abandoned like car pileups on the interstates and everything. And there's just all this stuff. And obviously war is going to cause a lot of damage. I'm not, disagreeing with that, but it's just, I don't know. I don't think it would be like as borderline apocalyptic as this feels.
So to clarify, that, I mean, you start the movie in New York, which is it's similar to like the Fedra places in The Last of Us. They even have like that kind of equivalent here. And that's like you have the power to, but society isn't falling apart there. And I think that what happens, and I'm going to defend the movie a little bit, is they're going towards the front line. So I mean, it makes more sense that like as you near the front lines, like it's society is not really a thing anymore, or society is stuck to a football field, which I'm like, has Alex Garland played in The Last of Us? It seems like some of these things seem to pull right out of it. But again, his work inspired The Last of Us too. So,
go ahead.
I
was gonna say, and kind of going back to something you had said earlier about this, like traumatizing the audience. And for me personally, this movie is just in that regard, it's just like worse Come and See. I think clearly this movie is very inspired by Come and See. I just think it is very...
Which I have not seen.
You have not seen. And which is probably partially why it works better for you. But it's just... I feel like it's very clearly inspired by that, takes a lot of the themes and is just less effective. I think part of that is that... Like, I understand, showing all of these war crimes and everything, very disturbing. But I think a lot, like, we don't see that effect on, like, just regular civilians too much. It seems like it's mostly just on, like soldiers and stuff, which obviously it's still not good. But I think it would lend an extra, like... I don't know if relatability is the right word, but, these people that aren't in the line of fire having these horrible things happen to them. And without spoiling, Come and See, I think that's it leans more into that. And I think that's why it's more effective in that regard. So I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know. What happened for me watching this movie is like I felt my adrenaline pumping, and for someone who's so desensitized to a lot of things, and to kind of go into this movie pretty skeptical, I felt myself very engrossed in it. I was like on the edge of my seat a lot of the time. And there's just the sound is just no holds barred, and it's loud at times, and just like jump scares almost, and it's just horrifying. And you see the characters, you're traumatized along with the characters. Like you said, maybe it's to a better effect and come and see, but also I think this takes those ideas and probably modernizes them and puts them in a new perspective when we probably might benefit from like that fresh take.
Yeah. I mean, I've been very negative on this movie, but I partially just devil's advocate in some regards. But this movie is pretty engrossing. I think all of the action scenes are very harrowing, really. I quite enjoyed all of those. As you said, the sound design with those gunshots. I just watched it recently. Very much reminded me of Heat. The movie Heat, and just the gunshots are so loud. And that was a complaint for me for that movie, mostly because I was watching it at home and it was waking my roommate up. But in the theater, it like almost made my ears ring. The very first like really loud gunshot, which as you said is kind of a jump scare. God, that caught me so off guard. And they do that a few times. But very, very cool. I like how they did that.
I mean, for me, whenever I'm just like completely locked into the movie and lose complete, I'm just fully in this world and in this story, I think that's a testament to the filmmaker, and that experience happened to me going to Civil War, and it really doesn't happen to me all that often anymore. So I think credit to Alex Garland for creating this world, and I think similar to A Last of Us, and there's lots of stories that follow this kind of formula of this really kind of world rich in like lore, but telling a very simple story and just kind of taking pieces of this lore and kind of just opening the door to this bigger world, but not fully exploring it, just leaving a lot to the imagination and filling just enough gaps to let you flesh it out in your imagination.
I do think, I don't want to go in obviously the complete other direction from that. I do think there are certain aspects of this that could have been explained a bit more somehow, and probably pretty naturally through just the narrative. But there's with all these promotional materials, I did see the one where they like released the map of everything.
See, I don't think you need to go into that.
But it's like, I don't, everyone is hung up on California, Texas. That's whatever. But you also have there's like a whole northern sect that I don't think is even brought up once in the movie. Which, maybe they just don't include that in the marketing materials if that doesn't even matter. The Florida stuff, it hardly plays into it. I don't know. It's just, it's
really just the Western forces and then like the USA.
Yeah. And I don't need like all of their motives explained or anything, but I'd like to know how they're different a little bit at least, but we never really, even if you were to see like through these war crime actions or anything, that like Florida maybe does one thing or something, but I guess without taking sides, maybe that'd be a little hard. I don't know. There's just like, it's just to me it's like a lump mass, like non-US versus US, like US or like resistance, I guess, versus US. It's more of what the movie like feels like. So it's just strange to me that like in the lore of this, that's not what's happening, because that's not the sense I get from the movie at all.
I think, I see what you're saying, but I think this movie benefits from not going into any of it, like just not getting bogged down by it. I don't think that's the point. I think like trying to predict how civil war in the United States would actually go would just pull, like, then it would just not get the reaction it needs out of the people who like should probably see this movie. It's just, you're going to just get caught up in, well, no, actually it would be this people's fault that this started. It doesn't go into how the war started. It doesn't go into who is justified and who isn't justified. There's some like vague allusions, like the president dissolved the FBI. It's like that's how it's political in his third term. That's like as political as the movie gets, really. That's it though, and I think that, I think it just the movie benefits from it. The war's already been going on for a while. You see kind of just the everyday life of it. So I think the movie benefits from it. And if you disagree, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one.
Fair enough.
Because I just think if you just start to define everything, it's gonna lose out. It's not Westeros. I don't need to. Yeah, no. Like I don't need to. Are you back the Western Alliance? Are you gonna back Rhaenyra Targaryen or Aegon?
But I think there's a sweet spot you can do where it's still like you increase the world building a little bit without just fully explaining everything. And like the fact that you have these nonpartisan press people who have been around doing whatever, like I could just have them recounting some stuff they've done or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's
there's no such thing as nonpartisan press people.
Kidding. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it just they could have done a little more, a little trickle more without being too heavy handed.
Let's talk about some technical things. Yeah. Acting.
Yeah. Good, I think. Yeah. I will say another negative thing I'll say. I didn't particularly love the characters in this for the most part. I think they're pretty simple and not in a fun way.
I think they made Kirsten Dunst's character, Lee, just kind of just that cold, unnecessarily cold thing. And, like, I'm going to be. They don't
really get into that too much other than I guess she's just seen things, I guess, like through her job, but.
Or she's just being protective. And it's like, I get it. You're kind of cold and jaded, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked the I forget the guy's name. I saw this
Wagner Moura, the actor, or
what's his character's name?
Gosh, I can't remember.
The main friend guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was good.
He was good. He's the wolf in Puss in Boots.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's also, I knew him. He had a really good recurring role in the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith series. So he looks a lot like Pedro Pascal.
He does. I also like Thufir Hawat.
Yeah. Steven. Okay.
Sammy.
I love him. I think he's very good in the movie. It's annoying to me that literally like his entire character is just that he's old. Like everyone just says that to him all the time. They're just like, you're old. You can't do this. And to me, it's like writing, or it's the most obvious foreshadowing that he's going to die.
Okay.
I liked his performance,
okay.
but I don't know. His character is just pretty one note for me. Kaylee Spaney is the girl, Jessie Cullen.
Mm-hmm.
She was good.
Yeah,
liked her. Jesse Plemons, scene very good.
His cameo,
steals his cameo. Uncredited appearance apparently, which is interesting.
Uncredited,
yeah,
interesting. I think visually it looks really good. I mean, there's some beauty in all this darkness and chaos. The music, they do the whole ironic, like happy music thing, and I just didn't really like it. Yeah, there were parts of this. It sounded a lot like The Last of Us. There were certain parts of the score that sounded a lot like that. But yeah, the parts you're talking about, it didn't really fit the tone of the movie for me very well. Man. The rest of the movie doesn't really have that ironic tone to it, I don't think. So, but I don't know. Otherwise, I think the special effects looked pretty good. Like it looked quite realistic in terms of like the scope of it, especially when like things happen to Washington D.C. and whatnot.
Highest budget A24 movie, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think towards the end when things get bigger spectacle, I think it loses that perspective of our like little group that we've been following, and I think that hurts the movie. Because it's like this was not the point leading up to this, and then it's just like a huge kind of battle or siege.
Yeah. The kind of end action scene has a lot. There's a lot of the climax of Half-Life 2
Really?
Yeah, it felt very similar in that you're kind of helping out this resistance group and you're slowly pushing towards this central point. And that game, I think it does it really good in that game. That gives you a really good sense of progression. And I think that for the faults of the climax, I think there is a really good sense of progression in that regard in this movie here. But yeah, it's just a little thing. My little Half-Life fan notice. It's probably not even a reference, but just a comparison. Yeah.
I mean, I thought I don't think this is that big of an accomplishment, but I saw the ending coming. I'm like, the character says something. I'm like, well, clearly this is just going to happen now. And that's what happens. And it's handled okay, I think.
Yeah.
And then the movie just kind of ends. That's it.
Which it kind of felt like there should have been a little more, but I also do think then you might run into where you were talking about it, just maybe over explaining it too much. I don't know, but
so explain more, but don't over explain.
Well, in that regard, I do think if you ended it there, I think it would be. I don't think you necessarily need like an epilogue, showing how the U.S. turns out or anything. Yeah, you don't need that.
No, I think for what the ending was fine. But I just was like, okay, that's how we ended it. Yeah. All right. I guess it's like the completion of a character arc.
Yeah.
So, but I don't feel like he really needed that. I don't know. It felt very. It was like too clean of a story arc.
Yeah.
In a world that's otherwise very complicated and not clean, just dirty, and things don't go the way they're supposed to. Like I needed some sort of like Seven ending, Like if a movie's gonna be dirty and twisted,
you're right. It definitely seems like it needed something a little more less. I don't know if happy is the right word, but less.
It's just full circle. It's like here's a perfect reflection of this thing that I said earlier, and it's all wrapped up, and the character arc's over, and we're just going to continue in the end, the credits.
Yeah.
Not in a happy way necessarily, but just in a clean way. So that's where I'm at. I like this movie quite a bit. I said it was engrossing, very effective, traumatizing. I'm desensitized a lot. It affected me. I went home, I was thinking about it, and I recommended it to other people. So
nice. Not biggest fan of this personally. That's the first time I think had really differing opinions for quite a while.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it's not for me. Alex Garland is 1 for 4. For me.
You just think this is outright like bad?
No, I shouldn't. I'm not sure I should say 1 to 4.
Okay, where does
1.5
this rank?
To 4. This is probably
rank?
my second favorite of his, but it's like a big gap in between my Ex Machina and this for me. Ex Machina is his one I like. Yeah, I appreciate him as a writer more than I do a director. I guess I don't know.
Even though your problem with this was the writing.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Well, it was same way with Men too. So I guess maybe I just like it when he writes someone else's movies. I don't know.
There you go. I guess your score.
Yeah, I'm probably at like a 5.5.
Okay.
For this, it's mid. It's
significantly worse than Godzilla X Kong.
I enjoyed it a lot less than Godzilla X Kong, is what I'll say. I think that movie accomplishes what I don't think you're supposed to
enjoy Civil War.
Yeah, but I don't know. This movie did nothing for me. Godzilla X Kong at least entertained me in a fun, stupid way, I guess.
You ended up not seeing this in IMAX, right?
No, I didn't. I did think about it. I was in Minneapolis this weekend.
Did you go with anybody this one?
No, I went on my own.
Yeah. See, you just have to go with your loved ones, aka my sister and brother-in-law. My beloved. Shout out to Grace and David. Had a good time. They even went to Popeyes with me.
Oh, wow.
They had the full Tomp experience.
Did you have an interesting Popeyes experience? We didn't do Tomp.
Well, yes. So I kind of am telling him, like Popeyes, something happens every time we get up there, and our good old buddy who's always there is just like, man, I'm so ready to go home. Like unprompted. I walk up to the cash register just getting ready to go. Man, I'm so ready to go home right now. Just unsolicited. Gotta love Popeyes. Great food again.
Very good.
Once again.
Love Popeyes.
Oh, gotta love Popeyes. All right. Who's this movie for? Obviously, if you like things like The Last of Us, that just like the dystopian kind of apocalyptic situation. I think this is like the vignettes. If you're like more of I want to kind of get the feel of the world, the tone. If you want a movie about that's more tone than substance, I think this is a movie.
Yeah,
it's like
it's a good way of putting it.
It's like okay, it's very kind of melancholy in that regard. And if you're a fan of Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, second greatest living actor behind Ryan Gosling. Those two bring me the most joy.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen is up there.
Husband-wife duo, Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons.
I was talking about Ryan Gosling and Jesse Plemons. Okay. But Kirsten Dunst is good as well.
Apparently, so I know we're wrapping up non-spoiler, but apparently Jesse Plemons, like the actor who was originally playing his character, like dropped out last minute or something, and then Kirsten Dunst is just like, I'll just get Jesse Plemons. I'll get my husband to do it.
Yeah.
So
which he's just perfect for it.
He is so good.
So yeah, there we go. Go check out this movie. I think it's worth seeing. Don't listen to Holden. I think it's better than a 5.5.
Yeah, is what it is.
But we'll get into specific moments if you have seen the movie or if you're going to see it and coming back. Specific moments, analysis, comments, further discussion coming at you. Spoiler filled. So go see the movie, or if you just don't care, continue listening.
Yeah.
Spoiler filled discussion coming at you right after this.
Okay. So Civil War spoilers. Mm-hmm. The North wins, Jimmy.
The North remembers. Actually, the West wins.
Oh yeah, you're right. I do.
Let me just go through some notes that I
ahead.
got because as usual, I just get out of the movie theater and just dump everything in my head.
I thought about doing that this time, but I feel like I remembered it pretty well. I just saw this yesterday too.
Yeah, I saw this several days ago.
Yeah.
At this point, one of my things is okay. So first off, I just call Sammy Thufir Hawat in all my
sure
the Mentat, the Atreides Mentat from Dune. So I'm talking about Sammy, the old guy, as Holden said.
Yeah, that's his one character trait.
Old
wise guy. That's really it. He imparts some wisdom and then dies.
Endearing.
Yeah,
it's gotta throw endearing in there.
I like it. Yeah, no,
doesn't anybody know how to stop bleeding? Like, are we not going to just clot that thing?
Yeah.
Put some pressure on it? No. Just let him bleed out. Okay. One thing they nailed, Holden, West Virginia roads. Those things, ridiculous. Super narrow, no shoulder, terrifying to drive through.
Okay.
Oncoming can't see past the corner, oncoming traffic. Let's just go 55, all these winding things. Crazy. And then ridiculous. Highways, they're just going to be narrow and windy and go through random little farm places.
Sure.
Nailed that. I watched the IGN, like my best shots thing with Alex Garland. He talked about that shot where, what's his name? Wagner Mora. What's his character's name?
Joel.
It's
Joel. Are you
I could not tell if it was Joe or Joel. Joe or Joel
with an L, so even more Last of Us.
Get me early. When he's like screaming in front of the tank after his buddy's killed, and Thufir and all that. That was impromptu, and Alex Garland really liked it. So that's nice. Cool. The end credits photo, it's kind of interesting how it developed. Yeah. Wouldn't you think they would like the soldiers would show the face or something?
Yeah,
or is that in that bad taste?
So. I don't know.
Or it's just like, Fortnite posing over the president's body. Is that not already in bad taste? Let's be honest. They're going to be doing Fortnite. One person's going to be doing the gritty.
Yeah.
One's going to be doing like the L
default
thing.
dance. Yeah. It's
teabagging.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, they're just like soldiers, so they're probably just like regular guys. They would probably just do they'd probably show the face, like whatever. I don't know. And what little we get about the like world building, they seem to really hate the president, so they probably don't care, quite frankly. But it doesn't matter.
I guess I saw the ending coming when she's like, "Would you photograph my dead body?" Like, what do you think?
I rolled my eyes when I heard that.
I was like, well, clearly this is just going to be an inverted situation here.
Yeah.
Yep. And then as soon as it happened, I was like,
it was so dumb. That honestly, like for all my criticisms, that was probably one of my least favorite parts of the movie was her dying and Kaylee Spaney just jumping out in the middle there for no reason. Kirsten Dunst knocking her down. I was like, oh my God. And I did roll my eyes when she took Kirsten Dunst's photo, which I don't know.
And then they're just like, all right, let's keep going.
Yeah, I guess.
Photojournalists. Now heroes wear capes, Holden.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, so I guess like Kaylee Spaney's character is supposed what I gather is like Kirsten Dunst, part of the reason why she's so cold is because she's done this so long and has been just like through so much. And I think you're supposed to see like Kaylee Spaney go through that here to an extent. But it kind of feels like her character shift seems kind of sudden to like when that happens. Because I feel like the rest of the time she's like, yeah, a lot of things are happening to her. She's just kind of screaming, crying, empathetic in a lot of ways. And then that just happens. It's like a switch clicks to me. And it was like suddenly she's
they switch places where in the whole Washington, D.C., Kirsten Dunst is like shaking and can't handle it. And
I guess, yeah. And I didn't.
Jesse.
Why does she start doing that? Just because it's a lot is happening. I like missed that. Why
probably
is she
because
like
Sammy died, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe she just hasn't.
I mean, not making fun of the character because it's a logical, reaction to all this happening. But I was just like, to me, it felt like out of nowhere almost.
Maybe because she like knew what the world was before.
Maybe.
And Jesse's character maybe didn't as much. I thought the ending left a little bit to be desired. Like I said in the non-spoilers, I'm distracted when the movie left our character's perspective and Washington, D.C. just was like, all right, here's the siege. And you're just going to kind of, you still see a lot of it from our character's perspective, but a lot of it's just like the aerial shots with helicopters like blowing up the Lincoln Memorial. It's like, I think this is just detached from what we've
it was watching. Pretty funny how they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna blow up all these monuments. So that's kind of how it felt for the first chunk of that Washington D.C. section. But yeah, I agree. It just got less interesting, and it went on for kind of too long too, especially when they're like right in front of the White House. I was like, okay, you've kind of been sitting here a while and not much is happening, and then the blockade comes out. I don't know what they thought they were gonna do by leaving in car like that, but
I don't know. Buy some time, I guess. Throwing anything at the wall, see what sticks.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's that scene with the forest fire that is very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah. The embers in the air, the sparks. Cool. I thought the cast was very good. Excellent cast. Said very The Last of Us imbibed pacing and structure. Nick Offerman's limited role. Said shocking to see American landmarks as part of the battlefield. One of my things is, would people actually care about the press in this environment? Which I like. Yeah. Like if I was anybody in this, I'd be like, I don't care. I don't care, especially in the American Civil War.
Yeah.
Like if we do get to a point where we are divided and we are legitimately having a civil war, no one is going to give two licks about a journalist.
Yeah.
Especially a resistance war. Nobody is going that is the subsect of people that is just like, I do not care what you have to say.
That's what
I don't trust you. You are the media. I don't like you. What news organization are you from? If anything, Jesse Plemons' character should have been, what news outlet are you from?
Yeah,
That was probably a little, might be a little too political.
Yeah, but
It's like, I'm gonna just shoot you.
yeah, I mean, I think, you could make the argument that in wars, like other wars where, it's America goes up against someone else, you could make the argument that America gives orders to its troops to, help out the press or something like that.
Sure, that makes sense.
That makes sense. But here where it's a lot more decentralized, it feels in some regards a little less disorganized. There's all these different factions, and yeah, like you're gonna have people that are just more of Jesse Plemons, like, oh, where are you from and whatever. Yeah, it feels
even like the
unrealistic.
people like, you stupid, like they're trying to kill us, we're trying to kill them.
Well,
like,
and
that's it. That's the story.
And especially like you have like apparently they mentioned at the beginning of the movie that if you set foot in DC as a journalist, you're shot on sight. So clearly, like I think they're called the loyalist states, aren't like that government isn't the most friendly to journalists. And that, to me, that would be the one that would be most likely to like help them out, if anything, to like, I don't know, but I don't know.
I don't know. Just as a South Dakotan, I am fiercely loyal to the New People's Army. As I peek at your Wikipedia page, I'm from Nebraska, so I'm torn between being a loyalist and a New People's Army. But I don't know. Gee whiz, California and Texas really raked. Being two states, they just straight up won the war. Look at that, like good old half the country is loyalist states.
Yeah, that's politics aside, it is strange to me that, these two, they're their own faction and somehow they're able to team up with these like states in between and take them out. Wow. And I guess you can,
Nevada has nothing. They don't have any water there.
That's true.
They're done. I mean, California doesn't really either.
But yeah, I guess as you push forward, you gain more territory or whatever, but still bizarre. Bizarre that the New People's Army, which is the second biggest, I think.
No, but not population-wise.
No,
but the least population.
But they're not mentioned at all. So
come on. So let's see. Again, nobody's gonna care about the press. They just go right along after Lee's death. Got a little photojournalists, the ironic music, and I talked about. Okay, I did want to bring up favorite vignette. So you had the opening with the American flag terrorist water bomber person.
Yeah.
One thing I will say about my movie going experience here and why sometimes theaters are awful is just so that scene's just silent.
Yeah.
Just no filter from anybody. Just munching away on popcorn, digging in the candy like just no. I mean, just like seriously, you can't wait. Like clearly, this is supposed to be. You're not. It's like going to a quiet place and doing that. Like, what are you doing?
In my theater, there were two people that walked in like 25, 30 minutes into the movie. And it was like a quiet part. They were fine. Like it was, I just thought it was weird they came in, but it was during like a quieter part and they just opened like cans of peace tea. And it was just, I was like, God, I don't know why they walked in so late or why they didn't just go to a later showing, but
they're sneaking in, Holden. So the opening scene with that, the suicide bomber, the gas station, gas station torture, the Christmas sniper, Jesse Plemons. Those are the ones I have. Is there? I mean, and then the rest is just
I think
the DC siege or
these are the main ones.
Takeover.
I do think. Okay, so
these were just off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I mean it's the Jesse Plemons one, right?
Yeah, that's the best one. But I was wanting to mention that leading up to that, there's the whole thing with like the other journalists that approached them in the car, and that's fine or whatever. It's kind of tense at first because you don't know who they are. They come up and there's nice relief when they know them, but like then they like hop between cars.
Yeah,
I was like, why are you doing this? Kaylee Spaney hops to the other car. I'm like, what are you doing? What, like, that's literally just there so then they get captured by Jesse Plemons first, and it seemed very contrived to me.
It's just young people having fun.
Yeah,
Holden.
just being crazy young people.
You got to have those crazy college experiences even in a Civil War dystopian future.
Guess, yeah.
Young
You're right.
people will still be young people. Come on. I don't know. I was like, it's a little convenient, yeah, but whatever. I can forgive it.
But
It's not as airtight as the masterpiece, The Last of Us. Holden. We get it.
Yeah,
All
it's
right?
true.
We get it.
But yeah, then you get to Jesse Plemons' whole thing, which is great. I mean, he's perfect.
Just his shades and the way he just scratches his face so much. I'm only like, yeah. So what? Oh, this is
Where are
your
you
colleague?
from? Yeah, just shoots the guy, the first guy, and then oh my god, yeah, it was so tense, and it's like you have no idea what side he's a part of or anything, and he's just questioning them, and oh my gosh, yeah.
Like,
Best scene in the
listen to Thufir. Don't
Yeah.
go. It's stupid. Death written all over it. Amen. That was natural selection. Let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one was good. I guess second best one then. Opening, gas station, or Christmas sniper.
I did like the Christmas sniper. Although at the same time, I feel like they could have done more with that. I don't know. It felt like they were just pinned down, and then
For 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes, and then they shot the guy. So I don't
got good news. I'm like, how long had they been there?
Yeah.
It seemed like a while.
It would have been more interesting if like they were trapped there for like a bit of time, and like maybe that puts them behind schedule. You know, like they even they're at the end of the movie, they're like, oh, we're too late. I could put them behind schedule or whatever. But yeah, so I guess maybe the gas station is the second.
I think I like the gas station.
Yeah, I like that one. Taking the picture by the hanging bodies. That was good. Yeah, there was that whole thing about the gas station scene where like it was like the gas attendant only wanted to take Canadian money.
That was weird.
I didn't understand
I guess
that.
that's more valuable. I mean, because there's going to be a decentralized U.S. currency now.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's one of those little things that I'm like, on one hand it's cool, it's there and it's not explained. It makes
but
the feel
Canadian? I mean, seriously?
No, but it's like it's almost just too like it's like a little too like weird. I don't know. Like
What's Canada doing in this situation?
Yeah, what are they doing? I always wonder that. Okay, slight little tangent about like these little dystopian movies or like The Handmaid's Tale, right? Handmaid's Tale. I've watched some of that show, but I always wonder like, and maybe it's explained later on. I don't know. Like, what is Canada doing here?
I'm wondering, why does this lady have a tail?
Yeah, right.
When are we going to see it? I'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
What's Mexico up to?
Are we trying to get through like the southern? Are people like trying to run away? On the southern border.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Too bad we built this wall here, President. Real subtle.
I do
Garland.
think it's funny that Alex Garland. I think it's funny that Alaska and Hawaii are part of the loyalist states when they probably do nothing in this conflict.
No, Alaska's really pulling the heavy
think so?
lift. Yeah. The last few guys defending the president, definitely Alaskan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, they asked to get banished to Alaska or whatever. The vice president, or whoever that is,
the speaker or something,
whoever that
just
is.
gets shot. Mm-hmm. She drew the shortest straw. Going
Absolutely.
Out there.
I did. I wanted to mention. I kind of mentioned it non spoilers, but that first like gunshot when they're like in the thick of it, like after the kind of like calm night moment, Kirsten Dunst is sitting there, and then it's like jump scare that was like that felt like my ears were ringing after that.
Which one? Where are they at?
It was where they're sitting. I don't remember what they had just been doing, but that's when they're like at the like Thufir falls asleep in the van, and they're just kind of hanging out. It's nighttime. That's where there's all the fighting in the distance, right? And then they like Kirsten Dunst is just sitting there. That's like a shot on her, and then suddenly like gunshot them in the thick of it. That's where
Oh
with
yeah,
the guys.
I guess that was a vignette too. Them following
Yeah,
that was
that's
good,
right.
and she takes
That's
the
cool.
picture of the guy dying.
Mm-hmm. Good picture.
Yeah, that's a good picture. Whatever Kirsten Dunst said.
Yeah.
Good thing you're shooting all this on black and white film.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. That's dumb.
You don't think they wanted that picture in color?
Well, initially I was like,
48 megapixels.
Now that I'm thinking about it, like Kirsten Dunst mentions at the beginning that she was like downloading or uploading photos. So it makes sense she was on digital, but there was a chunk of me there where I'd forgotten that. And I was like, is she shooting on film? Like, is that just what people do now?
No,
but no, it's just
Kirsten and I had to both have a Sony Alpha camera.
Oh, okay.
That's what we're glorious Sony Alpha A7C is what we got here.
Yeah, just Kaylee Spaney with her Nikon.
Yeah, get that Nikon out of here.
I'm a Canon myself.
Okay, Canon. One of you Canon elitists. Oh, the color codec.
No, mine's a very mid tier, probably not even mid tier anymore. Canon camera. But anyway, yeah. What else is there to say about this movie?
I think I've said my piece, Holden. We've been talking about this movie for quite a while.
We've had a lot to say. Well, first movie in a while where we've strongly disagreed on a movie. So,
but do you agree that the promotional material is pretty misleading?
From what little I saw, I agree.
Like, go watch the trailer. Like it's like the Civil War and the Western Alliance
it's
and the political.
Definitely playing into like real life tensions a lot more.
And instead, it's just The Last of Us.
Yeah,
except they're taking pictures.
Yeah. I think ultimately a large part of this movie's problems with me are just that this movie came out at like, if this movie had come out like 20 years ago, like I wouldn't have cared. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have been watching it, but like I don't know. It just feels like it could have tapped into the timely stuff a little more than it does.
I think that would have been such a mistake.
I don't know.
So I just think you're completely wrong, Holden. And that's where we should end
it. And I
it.
think you're wrong. So
well, let's fight over it.
I'm the Western Alliance. I'm the Western Alliance.
I'm going to take a picture of your dead body. And I will teabag it. You have my word. Press F for respects. There you go.
Press F for respects, yeah.
Put enough in the chat. There we go.